parents overdid it. What's the most expensive thing you've ever had to purchase because of the standard you break it, you buy it rule? I am the kid of the dad who picked up a $700 fountain pen in an airport and proceeded to drop it, shattering the thing and getting ink everywhere. That was the most unpleasant plane ride I had ever been on afterwards. Why did I drop the pen? Number: I didn't drop the pen. My dad dropped the pen and then had to give the store $700 because it straight up shattered. I don't remember what brand of pen it was, but it was beautiful. Anyway, unpleasant plane ride because my dad just spent $700 on a now non-existent pen. Wouldn't you be pissy too? So far my kid hasn't broken anything at almost 8 years old. I'd like to attribute this to telling him anything fragile was hot when he was a toddler. He'd walk around my parents' house pointing to all their fancy antiques saying, "No, hot, no, hot." It kept his paws off the expensive stuff. Haha. That's the most clever thing I've heard all day. Bony Halloween hand in a craft store. Didn't have to buy it, chose to because I wanted my kids to see that you should really do the right thing. Took it home, glued it together, and we bring it out every year and it's a pretty positive memory. When I was a kid I thought a wax jack-o'-lantern candle was candy and I tried to eat it. My mom bought it, and still brings out that tooth-marked thing every Halloween. It's been 25 years. Her water broke. Hospital bills for a kid are not cheap. I was at Toys R Us once and my 4-year-old daughter was being extraordinarily disobedient. While checking out, she escaped my grasp. I was kind of restraining her with my legs. Hard to explain. Ran over to a candy display nearby, opened the package and started eating it. I was livid. I put the package on the counter and told the clerk, "I guess we're buying this too." She looks at me and says, "Would you rather I throw it out?" Well, my daughter opened it. "We owe you for this." Yes, but you don't realize how many kids do this and then the parents blame us for their child's behavior and expect not to pay. It's nice to see someone owning up to their responsibility. That and she doesn't deserve to have it with that attitude. I thanked this woman right and left that day. My daughter never tried to steal candy again. That and she doesn't deserve to have it with that attitude. I would be nervous as frick saying something like that to her parents in this day and age. Not my kid, and I don't think anyone paid directly. After my daughter's baptism we hosted a lunch for family at Buca di Beppo. For those not familiar with this chain, they serve family-style immigrant Italian dishes. Think, lots of red sauce, and has a sort of sometimes tacky decor along the immigrant Italian theme. At the time, our local buca had a statue of a small boy peeing into a basin in the hallway. My 4-year-old niece became fascinated with this statue, and when we were paying the bill and everyone's attention was distracted, she either pulled at it or tried to climb it. Crash! Down came the pee statue in a pile of broken ceramics and water, leaving a sizable hole in the wall. My brother, bless his well-intentioned heart, offered to pay for the statue and fix the hole in the wall. He left his contact info with the restaurant, but they never billed him. He said they just seemed very relieved that my niece was okay. We guesstimated the statue value at over $100 though. We have been back since and the restaurant never replaced the statue, at least not with another peeing statue, but they did fix the wall. In all fairness, the statue shouldn't have come off the wall that easily. The restaurant were probably worried about liability because some butthole didn't use the correct fixings. Obviously fault on both sides, but it's not exactly good for business if a kid gets mauled by a smashed up statue of a pee boy. In the summertime, I used to go with my mom to work. She cleaned houses, so when she took me with her during the summer, she'd usually make me sit in front of the TV and do activity books or read or something. But sometimes I'd just explore the house. One day, my mom took me to this rather rich guy's house. His house had this really neat spiral staircase that was fun looking down from the 3rd floor. While I was exploring the 3rd floor, I found a porcelain duck. Me being a very imaginative 6-year-old thought that the duck could fly. No idea as to why I thought that, but I did. So what did I do? I grabbed the duck, bring it to the spiral staircase and drop it down the middle. My mom hears a crash and runs to the bottom of the staircase and gets angry. She ended up paying the man the value of the duck, which she told me was a few $100s. I still feel bad to this day about it since we didn't have much money when I was growing up and she paid for my dumb mistake. I hope you stopped Judy exploring after that. One of my dreams growing up was owning a motorcycle. I loved sports bikes especially, but alas, our country at the time had them banned for civilians. Anyway, I move countries and the first license I get after the car driving license is the motorcycle one. I get it, shop around for a bike, and finally find a decent Honda CBR 600. Smoking hot beast. I went with a friend who owns bikes for a rest ride. He said it's in awesome shape. He asks if I wanna test it, and I say of course. I crash it. Luckily I survived with a few scratches, but the bike was fricked. Chassis cracked, so I bought it off the guy for around $8,000 to have it scrapped. Still makes me sad, and it put an early end to my career riding motorcycles. Just realized the question is for parents. I broke it and paid for it myself. At the bridal shop I worked at, a bride brought her toddler with her, and many other adults who were more focused on looking at dresses than watching their children. This kid ripped a $700 veil. The mother didn't even seem bothered by it, just apologized and handed us a credit card. She eventually got out of it, but my cousin's ex-born slashed up some expensive truck seats, tires, and bodies. I think in the end, it was going to cost her like $20k or around that. I'll bet in the future her boyfriend will think twice before he cheats. I went jet skiing with my dad and some guys in Locklin, Nevada, and me and my friend flipped a jet ski. The thing is, the automatic kill switch thing didn't pull out, so the engine kept running for a few seconds while sucking in water. My dad ended up paying like $1,400 or something cause the engine was fricked. Okay, just so people know, this isn't actually a law and a sign saying such is not legally binding. Also, the cost of the regular product already factored in such losses. And insurance is a thing too. Not a parent here, had to do this myself. While at university I started dating a girl who lived 20 minutes away by car and she didn't have her license yet, so my housemate got me insured on his somewhat wreck of a car. I had some savings, so I said to him if anything happened I would sort it. Maybe a month or two after driving it I ended up rolling the thing into a van's tow bar and it fricked the structure of it. I ended up paying up £600 GBP for it, but overall I probably did him a favor in the long term and we're still tight friends now. 1. You paid. 2. If you couldn't pay, you would have taken the blame and been super apologetic about it. Not doing one of those things in situations like this is what wrecks friendships. A friend of mine was on the hook for about $5k due to a bar mishap. We were on vacation in La and were staying at a somewhat fancy hotel. We decided to go drink at the hotel bar as we didn't have our own transportation. To give you an idea of this place, drinks were at least $15 each. We had a couple drinks and one of my friends, let's call him Hulk, decides we should do shots. We order a round of Jaeger bombs and move back to beers. You see how the night was progressing. Anyway, later in the evening the Hulk is starting to get loud and become a bit obnoxious. The whole bar can hear his stories whether they want to or not, and of course he won't shut up. The issue came when one of the people in our group decided to point out to Hulk that he's being loud and recommends that he's had enough to drink. Now I didn't see this part, but the whole bar heard it. He yells out something along the lines of "I have not had too much to drink," and slams his fist down on the counter. Everyone looked at him. He realized he was being too loud and quieted down a bit. The problem was that the bar had a thin sheet of glass on top of a marble countertop. When he slammed his fist he cracked the glass all the way through. Hotel security came. He was asked to not return to the hotel bar and had to pay to have the glass replaced to the tune of around $5,000. Haven't been out with the Hulk since that night. I was with this chick and I took her and her kid to Disneyland. Her kid was a little slow. We're standing in line at a restaurant in the park and there's a glass display with these cinnamon rolls. If you've been to Disneyland you know that prices escalate quickly. This little mother ate 3 whole cinnamon rolls out of the display and I had to pay around $15 for them. I didn't even know the displays have real food. I was beyond mad and never went out with her again. I think that kid was part conehead because he inhaled those rolls with no problem. A thumb. My oldest broke his thumb in pay when some kid stepped on it. Not a great day when the ear is involved. My dog ate my dad's $2,800 hearing aids. Hilarity ensued, naturally. Dogs SMH. Not one thing. We are glass artists, and we do art craft type shows for our living. so our kids have always been around fragile and pricey stuff. At shows the rule is they can look all they want, but no touching. As a vendor it drives me bat crap angry to see parents picking our stuff up, which is okay. We want people to look closely at our work. It has designs on the backside, too, but bossing their kids around not to touch. I think teaching by example is a better way. Not once since I have been doing glass. 26 years now. Has a child ever broken anything? A fair number of adults have though. I never charge when this happens. Accidents happen. The only time I felt like charging was when a drunk stumbled against our booth. We just look at what our material costs, not what we could have sold it for. Also, I can often use the scraps to make jewelry. If a child ever broke anything, we would never make the parent pay, mainly because we don't know how badly the kid would be punished. Our stuff makes a bright reflection and little kids often want to try to do it, and with the parents okay I will help a small kid hold one of our pieces and make it shine. Kids playing around in natural gas plant. Push a button and shut it down for hours. Around $50 K right there. Police follow their four-wheeler tracks in the snow and catch them. They go back that next night for revenge and trash every solar panel and battery and everything electronic. Now it's another $200 K roughly. Police again follow four-wheeler tracks in the snow and get them. Their parents end up paying every bit back to fix it. Not a parent, but when my sister was fairly young, around 4 I believe, she flung the car door open and whacked a brand new Mercedes, as in it was just purchased that morning. She did a good amount of damage. I believe it was around $1,500 or so, but insurance picked it up if I remember correctly. That was the point my parents started using the child locks on the doors after. This doesn't quite fit, but my 4-year-old nephew was walking around Santa Cruz, CA near the beach holding one of those Mylar helium-filled balloons. It's windy and the sun has just gone down and he lets go of the string. Balloon heads up into an old 60s-era telephone pole with lots of wires and transformers. Gets stuck, explodes with massive sparks and the whole boardwalk goes dark. We walked very quickly to the car. Not the parent but the kid was fighting with my brother at a restaurant when my brother pushed me. I managed to grab my brother's sleeve to prevent myself from falling and we both crashed into this metal thing filled with winter bottles. The big metal thing fell over and broke most of the bottles. I remember the waiter saying, "We might just have enough bottles left to cover the rest of the night." Expensive fight. Oh, seems like time must have stopped for a bit. A $600 bottle of perfume is the weirdest expensive thing my son broke. Most expensive period was my friend's $8,000 4K camera. $300 US. Ticket printer in a restaurant kitchen because it fell off a counter while I was cleaning under the counter. I'm still not sure if it was legal for my boss to charge me. 99 euros for a Citizen watch in Saint, but son knocked it off a display and it hit the floor. It had an infinitesimally small chip in the crystal. Shopkeeper was a bee and threatened to call the police. To beat all, my daughter dropped it in the airport on the way home and shattered the crystal. I hate that watch. A friend of mine went to a millionaire's house party and as he was getting some snacks he turned around and smashed a vase. It was $8,000 and he had to pay for all of it. He was only a high school student. Nothing. Ever. We had a strict hands in pockets rule in stores with breakables and required our kids to behave. That was my parents' rule when we were growing up. I have the same rule for my son and in the 3 years 10 months of his life he has not broken anything. I'm not the kid in this story but I install windows and doors for a living. We went to a job recently at a condo shopping center. Condos upstairs on both sides of an open market type shopping plaza. Now these condos are in a gated beach community. High dollar rentals and multi-million dollar homes in this neighborhood. This one group of parents had the bright idea to let their kids either bring or they bought them a BB gun on this vacation. Well, the kids decided to have some target practice while parents were off to eat one night. They shot out 3 windows and a door at storefront. I felt bad for the lady working during the time of incident. I talked to her and she thought the place was under attack or something. She said she hit the deck and called 911. one from behind the counter. All in all, I'd say that turned that couple's $10,000-$15,000 vacation into a $40,000 after we were done renting a man lift to change the second and third story windows. Not my kid, but a friend of mine gave his kid a BB gun. This is the kind of kid that you can't trust with a squirt gun. The first week he had it, he accidentally shot a bird in the head, killing it. He claimed it was a ricochet. The neighbor had a car parked out back that he would tinker with. The kid decided it would be a fine idea to shoot at the car. By the time he was done, there wasn't an intact piece of glass left on the car. The neighbor was understandably upset and wanted to be compensated. The boy's father didn't think it was that big of a deal. In his eyes, his son could do no wrong, but his mother was livid. Eventually a dollar amount was agreed upon and the neighbor compensated. $100 for a glass pipe that I dropped when I sneezed. Glass pipe, yeah. For the most part, my children know to keep their dang hands to themselves in stores, unless we've set them loose in the toy aisles to explore. Even then, they are careful enough with stuff that we've never regretted loosing them. TLDR. Get your kids right. Never suffer embarrassing in-store crap. My daddy always said this is a hands in your pocket store. Even though I'm 27, he still says this and even still puts his hands in his pockets. There is an urban legend among expats in Japan about a child that knocked off one of those ultra expensive, perfect fruits for gift stands. Of course the parents had to pay for them, around $4,000. The story goes on to say that these fruits, which the parents got to take, as they just fell and not really perfect anymore, taste the same as regular fruits. I always wondered, if something broke, can't you just run away? I mean, even if they see you break it and run, what are they gonna do? My cousin's son, age 4 at the time, threw a toy car at a 60 inches flat screen TV, cracking the screen. This was at their neighbor's house. Broken condoms equal what? 18 years of child support? Forget the hospital bill. If you don't pay child support in some states, go to jail. Do not pass go. A vasectomy costs $350. Well worth the money. People without third-party liability insurance. You have been visited by the Holy Doggo. Like and subscribe, you magnificent person.